Before digital perfection, authenticity was marked by flaws, ink smudges in letters, brush strokes on canvas, camera shake in film reels. These imperfections were not errors, but proof of human presence. We trusted a handwritten note more than a printed one because it felt alive with intention and accident. In the pre-digital era, to be imperfect was to be real. With digital media came perfect reproducibility. But rather than embracing that perfection, we invented filters to simulate film grain and hand-crafted fonts to mimic handwriting. Why? Because we had learned to associate flawlessness with artificiality. Perfection became sterile. Imperfection became nostalgic. In the race for trust, authenticity was rebranded as a texture. Roland Barthes called the photograph a message without code, a direct window into reality. But today, algorithms simulate that same effect with AI, generated images and deepfakes. Imperfection is no longer an accident, but a calculated aesthetic. The flaw we once took as proof of life has been reduced to a design choice, a glitch, inserted for emotional impact.
In the early days of MIDI sequencing, musicians discovered unprecedented control over timing, pitch, and dynamics, transforming live performance into a programmable art form.
In the early days of MIDI, electronic music was criticized for being sterile, too perfect to feel real. To solve this, engineers developed a technique called humanization. It added tiny timing errors and tempo fluctuations that mimicked what we associate with human musicianship. The goal wasn't to sound like a robot. It was to feel alive. This marked the beginning of an ongoing arms race systems, designed not for precision, but for believable imperfection. Even video games and virtual reality inject artificial flaws into their environments. A perfectly still camera can give away the illusion of immersions. So designers add subtle drifts and shakes, digital tremors that make sterile code feel like lived experience. These are not bugs. They're features designed to spoof authenticity in real time. Technopoly, as Neil Postman warned us, is not just a society of technology. It's one where technology sets the values. Here, authenticity has been reduced to an algorithmic afterthought, generated at scale and optimized for trust. What once required craftsmanship or lived experience now gets synthesized in milliseconds. We no longer ask if something feels real. We ask if it can pass as real under scrutiny. This shift reconfigures our relationship with truth itself, not just in art, but in identity, commerce, and politics. In the late 20th century, scholars warned we would trade craftsmanship for algorithmic efficiency. What they didn't foresee was how authenticity itself would become a product to be sold and spoofed. Deepfakes don't just mimic reality, they weaponize it. They deploy signs of individuality like emotional micro-expressions or handwritten script to create the illusion that something real is unfolding. We are now in an arms race where every new safeguard inspires. This creates a feedback loop. Detection technologies refine their criteria, and the forgeries adapt. The more we automate trust in authenticity, the less it matters whether anything is real or not. We're left with a cultural landscape where originality no longer defines values. Only the ability to convince systems that something qualifies as authentic does. It's not about truth anymore, it's about performance. And the audience. We've become trained spectators of this authenticity theater.
Systems, including Lotus lookalike spreadsheet, word processing with spelling correction, communication software, and Hayes-compatible 1200 baud modem. Leading edge with over 1,000 service centers nationwide. Additional funding is provided by McGraw-Hill, publishers of Byte. Byte's detailed technical articles on new hardware, software, and languages cover developments in computer technology worldwide.
Social media platforms don't just host content. They curate authenticity in real time using algorithms that analyze sentiment, engagement patterns, and linguistic quirks to flag what's inauthentic. The result is a system where human expression must now pass through data filters before being considered trustworthy. What once was a personal stamp of truth has been reduced to a checkable variable in an equation. If you sound too formal, or too emotional, or just different from the algorithm's baseline, adopt AI to authenticate photos. They also inherit the same tools used by propaganda machines and marketing algorithms. The line between verification and fabrication blurs when the system designed to detect lies is just as capable of making them. What we call real becomes a function of who controls the model and what it's been trained to believe looks like truth. In this new paradigm, authenticity no longer belongs to the creator. It's determined by code, by systems that render human behavior into signals and then decide which ones are worth trusting. What used to be a personal expression of self is now algorithmic output, scored for legitimacy in milliseconds. If something passes the filter, it's real. If not, it's noise. The question isn't whether something is genuine anymore. It's whether you trust the system to tell you.